Hello friends, welcome to Curious Minds Kannada YouTube channel. I'm your science facilitator Pooja. In this video, we are going to learn about fiber to fabric. So before going into the chapter, first we will see the objectives. That means what we are going to learn after finishing this chapter. First, we are going to learn about the wool, animals that yields wool, from fibers to wool, processing fibers into wool. Then about the silk, life history of silk moth, from cocoon to silk, and lastly about the processing of silk. So first, to start about, the fibers are obtained from both plants and animals. So we all know this, right? So the fibers are obtained mainly from plants and animals. Plants like cotton and jute, you can see not only cotton and jute, there are many plants which provide us the fibers. So you can see that in the picture. Then animals like wool and silk. Wool is obtained from fleece, that means hair of sheep, goat, yak and some other animals which you can see in the picture. Then silk fibers are obtained from cocoons of silk moth. Then, why animals have thick coat of hair? So before, in the before slide, you would have seen the animals had a thick hair on their body. So you have a question that why these animals have a thick hair on them. So let's find the answer for this. Hair traps a lot of air. So mainly the hair which is present on the body is going to trap the air, and air is poor conductor of heat. Whatever air is trapped in between the hair, the air is poor conductor of heat. What is the meaning of poor conductor of heat? It's not going to allow the heat to pass out or pass inside. So it's going to be like a barrier. Okay, it's not going to allow the heat to pass. So hair keeps these animals warm. So your body produces heat. You all know it, right? So when you wear these woolen sweaters or woolen shawls, what it's going to happen? The heat which is produced in the body, it's not going to move out because the hair or the fleece, okay, that's going to withhold the heat. So the animal is going to feel hot. Then wool is derived from these hairy fibers. So the wool which is useful for the human beings is derived from these hairy fibers of the animals. So next, to see the types of fibers. The hairy skin of sheep has two types of fibers that form the fleece. One is the coarse beard hair and the fine hair, that is a soft under hair which is very close to the skin. The coarse beard hair will be little rough, whereas the under hair will be very soft. The fine hair provide the fibers for making the wool. So next is selective breeding. Now let's see what is the meaning of this selective breeding. You can already see that in the picture. Some breeds of sheep possess only fine under hair. Their parents are specially chosen to give birth to sheep which have only soft under hair. So you can just learn it from the heading itself. The selective breeding, they are going to select the parents or the sheep which has a very soft under hair. So they are going to choose, they are going to select such sheep, and then it's going to give birth to the sheep which has a very soft under hair. For that process, they call it as selective breeding. Next, the process of selecting parents for obtaining special characters in their offsprings, such as soft under hair in sheep, is termed as selective breeding. So now let's see the animals that are going to yield the wool. First is sheep. Next, yak, which can be seen in Tibet and Ladakh. You can see the picture of it. Angora goat, you can see it in Jammu and Kashmir. Then Kashmiri goat. The under hair of Kashmiri goat is very soft. So it is woven into fine shawls which are called as pashmina shawls, and they are the costliest shawls. It costs around 14,000 to 15,000. So next is camel, then llama and alpaca, which can be seen in South America. And now let's see the fibers, how the wool is obtained from the fibers. So from fibers to wool. For obtaining wool, sheep has to be reared. Their hair is cut and processed into wool. So now let's see how the sheep are reared and how the breeding is done. Rearing and breeding of sheep. Rearing and breeding of sheep are seen in hills of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttaranchal, Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, and also in the plains of Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan and Gujarat. You can see that in the picture. Then to move about, what is the food of sheep? Anyway, we are rearing the sheep. We have to give food for them, right? So let's see what is the food for the sheep. Sheep are herbivores, so we all know that they are going to eat only the plants, and they prefer grass and leaves. Next, mixture of pulses are also given as a food for sheep. Corn, jowar and oil cake. What is this oil cake now? The material which is left after taking out the oil from the seeds. It's called as oil cakes. Then minerals. Mixture of minerals are also given as a food for the sheep. In winter, sheep are kept indoors and fed on leaves, grains and dried fodder. Usually in the winter season, the sheep are not allowed to go outside, so they are kept indoors and the food is provided for the sheep. Next, let's see some Indian breeds of the sheep. Lohi, it gives good quality of wool, and we can see that in Rajasthan and Punjab. Next is Rampur Busher. It gives a brown fleece, that means it has a brown hair, which will be seen in Uttar Pradesh and Himachal Pradesh. Nali, it gives the wool which will be used to make the carpet, and it's found in Rajasthan, Haryana and Punjab. Bakharwal, to make the woolen shawls, and it's found in Jammu and Kashmir. Marwari, it has a coarse wool and it's found in Gujarat. Patanwadi, it is used to make the housery and it's found in Gujarat. So these are some kind of sheep which are found in India. Now let's see the processing fibers into wool. Anyway, now we have got the wool, right? The fleece, the hair from the sheep. Now we have to make it into the wool. So now let's see that process. The wool which is used for making sweaters or for weaving the shawls is a finished product of a long process. It's not like we have taken the fleece of the animals and the next moment it is given as a wool. No, it has a very long process. So now let's see in step by step. Step 1, shearing. So the fleece of the sheep along with a thin layer of skin is removed from its body. This process we will call it as shearing. So what they are doing here, they are going to take out the shave of the thin layer of skin along with the hair. Okay, so this we are going to call it as shearing. Machines which are very similar to those used by the barbers are used to shave the hair. So whatever you can see that trimmers and all used by your dad, right? Such machines are used for shearing purpose. Hair are removed during the hot weather. This enables the sheep to survive without their protective coat of hair. Usually we know that these, whatever the hair which is present on the body of the animals is to protect them from the cold, right? So we have to remove the hair in the season like hot weather, right? So they will not have any problem. Then shearing does not hurt the sheep as uppermost layer of the skin is dead. Yes, you may ask, right? Ma'am, if we remove the hair, will sheep get hurt? Absolutely no. Why? If you have seen your dad anyways trimming, okay, or shaving, right? Do you think your dad will be in pain? No, right? Why? Because the uppermost skin layer is dead. So if we remove that thin layer, the pain will not be caused. In the same way, the sheep is not going to get hurt by taking off the layer of that hair. So now you have a very short video. Please watch it. Now, second step is scouring. The sheared skin with hair is thoroughly washed in tanks to remove the grease, dust and dirt. So this is the second process. Third is sorting. After scoring means washing, right? After scoring the hair skin, it's sent to the factory where hair of different textures are separated. So what is this different textures means? Some may be soft, some may be rough, right? So such kind of fibers are separated, and that process we are going to call it as sorting. Sorting, right? You all know that different things are taken out. Then step 4 is removal of burrs. What is this burrs now? Let's see. You can see the picture over there. Lady is wearing a sweater. On that you can see small white fibers which are coming out. They are called as burrs. Now the small fluffy fibers are called as burrs. These are picked out from the hair. Now if you have a sweater, just see it. Okay, there may be a small fibers which are coming out. They will be very small. They are called as burrs. So these has to be picked out from the hair, and the fibers are scoured again and dried. So after taking out this burrs, again it will be washed and dried. Now fifth step is dyeing. So you can see the wools will be in different colors, right? So the beautiful colors are given in this process of dyeing. So the natural fleece of sheep and goats are black, brown or white in color. Naturally they will be white color, brown or black in color. So different colors are given in this dyeing process. You can see that in the picture as well. So now you can see a small video. Now you have understood how the dyeing process is carried out. Now let's see the next step, that is rolling. The fibers are straightened, combed and rolled into yarn. The longer fibers are made into wool for sweaters, whereas the short fibers are spun and woven into the woolen cloths. Now let's just have a quick recap of the processing of fiber into wool. The first step is shearing, next is scouring, sorting, removal of burrs, dyeing, rolling. So these are the steps which are present in the process of converting fiber into the wool. Okay, this is one. So now let's see the next, that is silk. Silk fibers are animal fibers. That means they are the fibers which are obtained from the animals. Silkworms spin the silk fibers. The rearing of silkworms for obtaining the silk, we will call it as sericulture. Now let's see the life history of silk moth. It is a very interesting process. In this picture itself you can see how many stages it has, right? From egg to larva, then pupa, then the moth will develop, again it forms adult. So it is just like a circle, right? So now let's see the life history of silk moth. So in the first picture you can observe there is a male silk moth and a female silk moth, right? Then The female silk moth is going to lay the egg. You can see in the below picture, they are going to lay a very small tiny eggs, the female moth. Then these are going to hatch into larvae, which are called as caterpillars or silkworms. Then they grow in size. The next stage of the caterpillar is called as pupa. Now you can see that, right? The brown colored small animal like thing which is present, insect like thing which is present, is called as pupa. In pupa stage, it first weaves a net to hold itself. So now let's see that. It swings its head from side to side in the form of figure of 8 by secreting fiber which is made up of protein. So it has to swing its head in a pattern of 8. Okay, and it's going to secrete a fiber which is completely made up of protein. And this hardens on exposure to the air and become the silk fiber. Whatever you are seeing at the right side, right? The pupa is inside, correct? So what the larva is going to do, it's going to swing its head and then it's going to secrete a protein, right? That which is going to get hardened when exposed to the air, and it's going to form a cocoon. Soon the caterpillar completely covers itself by a silk fiber and turns into pupa. This whatever covering you can see, right, that white color covering, that is called as cocoon. The further development of the pupa into moth continues inside the cocoon. So inside that white color cocoon, the pupa is going to develop and lastly it's going to become a silk moth. The silk yarn is obtained from the cocoon of the silk moth, which you are going to see at the right side picture. Next, there are a variety of silk moths which look very different from one another, and the silk yarn, the yield is different in texture. That means the silk yarn is not going to be same, it's going to be different from each other. So silk obtained from the cocoon spun by the different types of moths. Let's see what are they. Tassa silk, Muga silk, Kosa silk and mulberry silk. This mulberry silk is a most common silk which is available. The silk fiber from the cocoon of this moth, the mulberry silk moth, will be very soft, lustrous, that means shiny and elastic. That means if I just take out the fiber, right, and if I leave it, it will come to the same position. That is the elastic, right, like a rubber band, and can be dyed in different colors. Now let's see how the cocoon is going to become the silk fiber. For obtaining silk moths are reared. Cocoons are collected to get the silk thread. So first we have to rear the silk moths. From that we are going to take the cocoons and then we are going to make it into the silk threads. So let's see how the process is going to take place. First, so now let's see the rearing of silkworms. A female silk moth lays hundreds of eggs at a time. The eggs are stored carefully on strips of cloths or paper and sold to the silkworm fiber. So you can see, right, a tiny eggs will be laid by the female silk moths and then they are stored very carefully and handed over to the farmers. Eggs are kept in hygienic condition. The eggs are warmed to the suitable temperature for larvae to hatch from the eggs. When they are getting warmth, right, the eggs are hatched into small larvae which you are going to see in the picture. Then mulberry leaves are provided as a feed. So even the larvae need food, right? So the mulberry leaves are given to them. Caterpillars eat day and night and increase enormously in the size. So how the larvae are going to eat, you have a very short video, please watch it. Then the larvae are kept in clean bamboo trays along with the freshly chopped mulberry leaves. You can see that. After 20 to 30 days, caterpillars stop eating. Up to 20 days, the caterpillars will be eating day and night the mulberry leaves. After 20 or the 30 days, it completely stops feeding. They move to tiny chambers of bamboo in the tray to spin the cocoon. Small racks or the twigs will be provided in the trays to which the cocoons will be attached. And the caterpillar spins the cocoon inside, which develops the silk moth. So they are kept in the tray, okay, and at some twigs they are going to, the larvas will get attached and start spinning the fiber which forms the cocoon. So now you can see in this picture how the cocoons will be formed. Then processing the silk. The cocoons are kept under the sun or boiled or exposed to the steam. You can see that in the picture. Actually, they are boiling the cocoons. Then the silk fibers separate out. When the cocoons are boiled or kept under the sun or exposed to the steam, the fibers will be separated out. Then after separating the fibers, next step is reeling the silk. The process of taking out the threads from the cocoon for the use as silk is called as reeling the silk. Reeling is done in special machines which unwind the threads or fibers of silk from the cocoon. Silk fibers are then spun into the silk threads. Then they are woven into the silk cloth by the weavers. So this is how the reeling process happens, and finally the silk cloth will be made. And now you have a detailed video on the life history of the silk moth. Please watch it. Till now, we have learnt about the wool, the process of getting the wool, and about the silk and the life history of the silk moth, and at the last we got to know how the silk fibers are obtained. So I hope you have enjoyed the video, and if it is helpful, please share to the others, like and subscribe the channel. Thank you.